Hey, good evening, everybody. um, I look forward to another week together with you. I was able to read a few more of your papers since they came in. Of them came in before last night, and so able to see more of what you wrote. But no, good work on them. I really appreciate the work you've done. Just a word on the papers, though. Continue to make sure that you cover the material in the book. All right. That's going to be a little easier as we go ahead because we're getting into some of the shorter books. But keep that in mind. So first thing you want to do is kind of give an overview of the material in the book. Right? Don't leave anything out if it's major before you get talking about even the major themes or why it's of value to you personally or to your ministry. All right. Boy, Second Corinthians was a joy to spend some time with last week. I think I read through the book maybe 3 or 4 times. Um, and I read it in the NLT. If you're not familiar with the New Living Translation, at least read that text once or twice, before we're done with this semester. One of the things that just caught my attention was 2 Corinthians 2:3. Um, and the ESV has this. Let's see. Yeah, I'll read the whole verse. And I wrote as I did, so that when I came, I might not suffer pain from those who should have made me rejoice. And then this last clause, for I felt sure of all of you that my joy would be the joy of you all. All right, well, it's a little unclear. It doesn't jump off the page as far as what Paul might be after, but in the NLT, the latter part of that verse 3 says, I think I've got it right here. It says, surely you know that my happiness depends on your happiness. And as I thought about that and looked again at the ESV, and I kind of think that's what Paul means, that he is dependent upon them, the Corinthians, getting their act together, doing what they ought to be doing, because otherwise he can't have any joy, he can't have any happiness until that happens. And you just have to step back and think about Paul and his ministry with the churches. I think we first saw this in Thessalonians, where after he had left them, his thoughts were still with them. He said, the proof of my ministry is when you're going to stand before the Lord. I pray for you every day. And it's just that kind of an undying commitment to see these people continue to develop and grow spiritually in their Christian walk and to avoid doctrinal error and what all else. And that is particularly pronounced in the Corinthian epistles. And it just kind of blows me away. Now, I realized that Corinth was very important to him. He spent 18 months there, which was longer than any other place in a particular city with a church plant. It was the last stop on his second and third missionary journey. He never got beyond Corinth. And so, and the 4 letters to it as well, it suggests quite an investment that Paul had with these people. But I know I'm talking to some pastors here in the group, as I was at one time, and I love my people, I cared for them, but at some point, if they just prove to be kind of obnoxious and difficult, divisive, I was kind of glad to see them go if they left the church and didn't think too much more about them afterwards. And, that's not Paul. These people were very much opposed to him, at least many of them were. And he just would not, he would not accept that. He was continually driving on and on and on to make sure that he was reconciled with these people and that indeed his happiness would depend upon that. So that I guess it's just a kind of a rebuke to me as just my um, what I, I guess I can't quite understand how somebody would be invested in people that to that extent that nothing would do, but you had to get reconciled and make sure that you were all in agreement, um, especially the opposition that he had. So anyway, um, it I think it's a good reminder for us all. What are we doing with the people that we minister to? What's our responsibility to them? Do we really care about their spiritual development and their walk with the Lord? Uh, um, how much are we invested in that? By encouragement, by prayer, by confrontation, if that's an issue. Just to what extent are we going to go to make sure that the people that we minister to or have ministered to are still walking with the Lord? So that's quite a challenge, I think, for all of us. And the more I studied Paul and read his literature, the more impressed I am with him as a pastor, certainly as a theologian. But his care for people is just outstanding. All right, so we get into Ephesians for this week coming up, which would be completely different than Corinth. The letter to Ephesians is pretty general. You don't have the personal greetings that Paul gives elsewhere in some of his epistles. It's often thought as more of a cyclical letter. Some of the Greek manuscripts don't have even the word Ephesus in it. And so the idea was intended to be a letter that kind of circulated around that area of Asia Minor. Anyway, you'll enjoy it. I'm sure you're familiar with Ephesians, but it'd be good to get into it once again. All right. Looking forward to spending more time with you. Thank you.